Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Destiny 2. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and salutations. Today, it's time to get hollowed. Let's get to it. So the Hallowed Lair is one of the new strikes with the Forsaken DLC, and this week it is one of the Nightfall options. And to put one descriptor on it, I would say infuriating. This would be a very difficult Nightfall at level. When you're under leveled, it feels nearly impossible. The Fanatic, the boss at the end, is relentless. He is a true sniper with his scepter. And being up to 520, 530, you will get one-shotted, body shot, headshot with a scepter, whether or not you have Arc Singe on. Now we had Solar Singe on, and I believe Grenadier, so our grenades came back a little bit faster, and it was infuriating. So his melee attack will one-shot you. His scepter attack will one-shot you. His ground attack is extremely dangerous. You only have a couple seconds to get out of it before it'll take you out. So based on that, I would say that Arc Singe is a very, very bad idea. Void Singe, there are a lot of enemies that have void weapons. Probably not your best idea, but you definitely, absolutely want to avoid Arc Singe. The AoE floor attack and a scepter are deadly enough without adding an extra damage buff to it. And then there you have the meleeers, which are all solar. So I think your only real choices here are solar or void. If you choose solar like we did, you have to watch out for melee attackers, but you would have to do that anyway. If you choose void, you need to watch out for the ranged attackers, because their attacks will take you out very, very quickly. So the mechanics of this fight are as follows. He will attack you. He'll ground attack you. There'll be adds that spawn every so often based on timing and or his health. Once you damage him enough, he'll go immune. He'll disappear behind the shield where he won't attack you, but he'll spawn lots and lots of adds. All the while this machinery is moving and going around in a circle, so where you think you might have some cover, you actually only have cover for a couple of seconds. Now, like I said, if you are below 540, make sure you're prepared for the worst, because this is basically that. You definitely do not want to get hit by any meleeers, whether or not you have Solar Singe on. Solar Singe only makes it that much more deadly. And like I said, if you have Void Singe on, you're going to be very, very leery of those ranged attackers that have the little buzzsaw blades, which are void. So no matter what you choose, you're going to have to be careful of something. Now you can avoid any Singe whatsoever by just not having one, but then you're losing out on some extra damage that you can be doing while you're in the strike. So it'll take you a little bit longer to take enemies out if you don't have a Singe. Now, one of the moves that the Fanatic does is that he will tether you and draw you in. And if you are underleveled, below 540, it'll be difficult for the three of you to take down his shield before he draws you in, and then he melees you. His melee is a one-hit So your entire team will completely wipe out if that happens. Now we had that happen, but we had our third guy come in just as we got knocked out. So we ended up getting lucky. But as you can see, barely took off a third or a quarter of his shield before he had us all the way in. And if I had switched to a solar weapon, it might have been a little bit more. But even with all three of us, we would have been hard pressed to take his shield out by focusing fire with solar weapons. Something to be aware of. So this might be a Nightfall that you may want to skip until you are 540 and above. Now you've got two sides. Well, you have three sides really. You have the front, which is where you start. The back where he has his shield, and then the left and the right side, which have the machinery and gears. Now the right side, which I'm on here, has non-moving gears. It has some just some pillars that you can take some cover behind. It does tend to have more adds on it, so you do want to be aware of that. The left side, you will have to run between the left side and the right side, so make sure that you do clear out adds as you are able, so that you can move freely from one side to the other, or as freely as you can without the adds and or the boss taking you out. Now if you have a whisper, this is a good spot for it. Get into a position where you're not going to get sniped, where you can pull your whisper out and do some damage against him. Now just remember that every so often, once you get enough damage put on him, he will go immune, and he'll either go behind the shield or he'll try to slam you by tethering you and bringing you closer in. There were a couple of close calls during this encounter, and it was very difficult just to get up to the boss, partially because this was a new Nightfall. Now you will have noticed that it's very, very familiar. At least the pathing is familiar from start to finish. From one of the story missions in the Forsaken, obviously the enemies are going to be different, and of course the level of difficulty will be different. Best thing to do is make sure that you have some ad control. Make sure you're being aware of where the cover is, do damage where you can, take out the ads, damage the boss, and when you can focus fire on the boss, that is usually the best thing to do, where you can have one person call it out who he's tracking, who he's going to hit, so that that person can be aware and they can take some cover, and so that you don't have a position where you have one or two guardians down with only one person left, because that is a very bad feeling, although it happened quite often on my run. Now when he goes behind the shield, you will have to take out most, if not all, of the ads before he'll come back into the arena. When you get towards the end, you're going to have just multitudes of spawns, and the further you go along, you're just going to have more and more spawns show up. So at first you're going to have a small handful, and then you're going to have more and more at a time, and they're going to be more and more difficult. You're going to start seeing the brutes that have the torches. You're going to have guys with shields, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to maintain ad control during the Nightfall. So you have to go through damage phases, and then ad control phase, and then rinse and repeat. Damage, ad control, damage, ad control. If you can all attack the boss at the same time, it will, you have the potential at least to put more damage on him, and you'll be able to keep the ads under control, and you'll be able to do this strike a little bit more easily. Burning, very, very deadly in this one, especially with Solar Singe. So if you're using a challenge card, make sure you make your choices wisely. I do recommend that you do use your challenge card so that when you're going for the score, that you'll have the idea and the mechanics down. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to ring the bell before you leave to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. And thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
Down. Guardian down. Guardian down. Guardian down. Guardian down. Guardian down. Guardian down.